What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down one of the most hyped up players coming into this 2023 NFL draft class. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things and give you some value. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver or a quarterback and would like to train with us this offseason, we're going to be traveling out to 12 more states across the country for 2-day long QB and wide receiver training camps. Next up on our camp tour, we'll be coming out to Charlotte, North Carolina. That camp is completely sold out. But then we'll be coming out to Dallas, Texas, the DMV area, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys are local to one of those cities and would like to train with us, 2 days of training, 8 hours total over the course of the weekend, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our camps. Let's get started with this video. So we're going to be breaking down routes and plays from Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State. Now, he's, a lot of people are saying, oh, this guy's not a first rounder. He's overrated. He's not that good. I completely disagree with that, and that's what we're going to be talking about with these clips of his film. So this first example here, this is kind of like a choice option route. Not too worried about the route because that linebacker's flying to the flats, but I want to talk about the move that he makes to make this defender miss and to get a ton of yards after the catch. So if you're a young wide receiver, like let's say you're a high school wide receiver, a youth wide receiver, one of the things that D1 college coaches look for is playmakers in their wide receivers. They're looking for wide receivers to extend a play like this. They take, a little option route, a 5-yard option, and they extend it into a big 50, 60-yard game. They're looking for explosive players. So Njigba makes this move. He does this kind of like crossover cut in the middle of the field. Now, it's a very explosive cut. We're going to break down the mechanics of the cut here in a second. But a lot of people will ask us, Coach, I struggle with, getting yards after the catch. I struggle with making people miss an open field. You honestly have to treat it like route running. If you're a good route runner, you should be good with the ball in your hands and you should be able to get yards after the catch. So what does this look like here from Njigba, this move? He does this kind of like crossover. He does a 1-2. That's a release that you could use off the line. You're faced up against press. You're trying to get a DB to bite to the inside. You use a 1-2 to get him off that platform and to get separation outside. So it's all the same. A lot of people say like, oh, yards after the catch, that's something that you can't teach. It's pretty much just route running. So now, to make a guy miss, a defender in open space, a defender trying to guard you off the line and press, off man, where are his eyes supposed to be? His eyes are supposed to be watching your hips. So with every single cut that you make, whether you're making a cut on a post route, whether you're making a move off the line, you have to sell the route with your upper body. You have to sell with your hips. And you see this time and time again with his cuts. They're not the most elaborate cuts. They're not the craziest cuts in the world. It's not fancy, but they're efficient. To get a DB to miss when you're in open space, you have to make sure that your hips and your shoulders are committed with this step. You see how far he is stepping to the inside. A lot of people would hurt themselves with this kind of step, stepping that far outside of their body frame. But if you can think of it like your hip is attached to your foot, all your cuts are going to get a little bit more explosive. You throw an inside cut or you throw an outside cut first, hip goes with the foot. The body is turning with the cut so it can stay inside of your frame. You want to sell back to the inside? Same thing. Hip is attached to the foot. And you see, to get an explosive cut, that's the body language position that I have to be in. So now, when I throw that cut, obviously we want to be sudden with my feet. That's the great change of direction. But one thing Njigba has, he has great speed out of his cuts. And that solely comes from his foot strike and where his foot placement is. So many wide receivers, what they'll do when they're trying to sell cuts like this or trying to sell the inside cut, they will open up their toe, and their toe will be pointed in this direction, hip and shoulders. They're trying to sell it. I can appreciate it. But when your toe opens up far to the outside, that's not enough. I should say that's the wrong position to be able to get explosion out of there. So you see how he sells with that upper half, but he keeps that toe relatively pointing forward because that gives him a positive shin angle. His shin angle is out of 45. You don't want your knee or your ankle facing the ground, obviously, because that's a good way to injure yourself. But that allows you to push off of this cut and get speed out of your cut. So one thing you watch him whenever he's making cuts, running routes, there's a lot of aerial view stuff that we're going to take a look at in a second here. But there's a lot of explosion out of it. There's a lot of speed out of that cut. And at the next level, all these defenders are extremely fast. Every single member of the secondary probably runs a 4.4 below 40 at the NFL level. So we have to make sure that we have no wasted motion with my cuts, and that's what Njigba has. So I think when it comes to making people miss an open field, he's exactly what you want. That is exactly what you want in a wide receiver. You want an explosive playmaker. You look at some of the best guys in the NFL, like Tyreek Hill. When that guy catches the ball, and I'm not comparing the two because they're two very, very different receivers, but he catches the ball, he's going to get yards after the catch. You look at guys like Let's think again. Justin Jefferson, he's great after the catch. He's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of acceleration. They want that in their wide receivers at any level of football, and Najigba has that. So let's play this thing full speed, and then we'll get to another clip. Because one of the things that a lot of people don't give him credit for is I think he probably has the best hands in the draft. And we're going to be showing this great over-the-shoulder catch that he made against his famous game against Utah last year. So this is a deep over-the-shoulder thrown pass, and this is a great example of, just great hand-eye coordination, tracking ability, everything that you want in a deep threat wide receiver. So many young wide receivers struggle to make catches downfield. They struggle with the over-the-shoulder catches, and it really comes down to two things. Number one, you have to trust your eyes. So when that ball is thrown, so many wide receivers think they're looking it in, but they don't know exactly what that means. A good phrase that I tell my wide receivers is that you want to try to take a photo of the football when it makes contact with your hands. So if you're a young wide receiver watching this, and let's say, you're practicing t-shirt and shorts, something that you can get, you need to find a trigger phrase that you can tell yourself over and over again that's going to force you to look the ball in, right? I was training a kid the other day, and he was dropping passes over the middle. And I would say, and he was telling me, he's like, Coach, I'm trying to look it in. I just, it's tough. And I told him, hey, focus on something on the football. Focus on the laces. Focus on the stripe of the ball. Focus on verbally calling out whether you see laces or no laces when that ball hits your hands. Because that forces you to look it in, and it gives you something to track. So when we get into a situation like this, it's a habit. I don't have to think about it because I guarantee you right now, Najigba's not thinking about looking the ball in. It's a reflex. And that's what so many great wide receivers do. They do the drill work over and over again. They're always catching passes. They're always out there working with quarterbacks. If you're a wide receiver and maybe, your quarterback's lazy, maybe he doesn't want, you don't get a lot of work in with him, whatever the conditions may be, reach out to a local quarterback coach. Quarterback coaches always need wide receivers. Just be like, hey, I'll come out and catch for your guys. And that's a great way to work on your hands. You might not get any coaching route running wise, but he'll probably help you out with some stuff, and it works on your hands. You just need the reps. You need to rep these different situations to make these types of catches because that's what they're looking for. Next level, NFL level, they're looking for playmakers downfield. Now, another thing that you see all great wide receivers do in the NFL is that they have late hands over the top. So what do I mean by that? And a great example of this, you don't believe what I'm saying here, check out Devontae Adams' film from this year. He had a lot of situations where he was tight coverage, guy was right on his hips, and he waited till the last second to show his hands. Because when you wait to that last second, that doesn't give the DB time to make a play. When you guys are catching a pass downfield, if you want to get better at over-the-shoulder catches, trust your eyes and be late with your hands. Because a DB is not running, looking back, then looking at us, looking back, then looking at us. He's just strictly playing us. So as soon as he sees your hands go up, he knows exactly where the ball is going to be, and he knows where to play the ball. He knows exactly where to shoot his hands. But if I wait till that last possible second and I am late with my hands, that DB has no time to react. I can secure this catch, and he had no chance on this play. Because, fellas, at the next level, especially if you're a high school guy going to college, especially if you're in Najigba's situation, college going to the NFL, the coverage gets tighter. DBs are more talented. DBs are well coached, and DBs are insanely fast. At the Division I level, that whole entire secondary probably runs a 4.5 40 and below, if not 4.4. In the NFL, you bet your ass everybody in that secondary is fast. So you got to get comfortable making these catches and finishing plays in a tight window. Because from a quarterback perspective, you are open in this situation. So that's a great example here of the hands that he has. I think not enough people give him credit. Everybody wants to talk about the flash. Everybody wants to talk about the route running, the explosive plays. I think he has that. But let's talk about catch radius. Like, you look at a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, that guy doesn't run the best routes in the NFL. Now, I don't think he's even maybe top 10 with route running, but he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. As you throw that ball to that guy, he makes a play. He's going to come down with that ball. If he's got a one-on-one opportunity, he is going to come down with it. Now, we're going to show this aerial view here because I want to talk about the football IQ of Jackson Smith here. So there was an interview with C.J. Stroud, and he said that Najigba is one of the best route runners that he's ever worked with, right? That he's ever played with, I should say. Now, when it comes down to route running, you got to have the physical traits. You have to be explosive, you have to be fast, but you also need a high football IQ. You have to know when to execute different route running moves, different tempo on your releases, when can I slow play a release, etc. So we're going to look at this play, and this is the reason why I wanted to show the aerial view. When it comes down to the wide receiver position, so many young wide receivers get caught up in the habit of, okay, I'm running a slant and that's all. Okay, I'm running a fade. Okay, I'm running a dig. And they don't know the full concept of the play. They don't know the quarterback's footwork. They don't know the lineman's protection. And you don't have to know the ins and outs of every single aspect of it, but you got to know the timing of the play. So we can be more creative with my routes to get me more separation. So Njigba's running a slant route here, and this is going to be kind of like a play action design here. I'm not too sure if it's an RPO or not, but this is going to be for sure play action, right? So CJ Stroud is going to be doing a run fake to this running back, then set his feet and hit the slant. So do you think the window for the slant is here? I believe they're probably reading this linebacker, but let's play this full speed. So he comes out here, linebacker crashes, and then he throws that slant right in the window, right? So that's what they're doing. They're reading this linebacker. If he crashes into the box, then they're throwing that slant right there in that window. So that's the window that Njigba has to get to. So let's talk about this. This is where the football IQ thing comes into play. Do you think because it's an RPO, you want to just get to that window fast? You want to just run the three-step slant as quick as you can and get there? No, because the timing might be off. CJ, you might be sitting there waiting, allowing this guy to crash in, and even if this guy makes the right read and that linebacker crashes, he's covered because we got to the window too fast. We have to understand the tempo of the play. So many high school wide receivers will just get caught up. They'll just think, oh, it's a three-step slant just like normal. If it was quick game and CJ Stroud was taking one step and letting this thing fire, yeah, let's get off the ball quick. But what Njigba does here is he kind of tempos his release. He kind of slow plays it, gives a move, and then gets to the window of the slant so Stroud can get a full read on the linebacker and the play times up. It's how he could get separation on this guy, and you could get separation by just taking 3 steps and running the slant if you sell the fade correctly, if you're running hard, but the timing is off. So let's play it again one more time. Let's watch what he does. He hesitates, crossover. And he's at the window at the right time. And then again, let's talk about what he does after the catch. This is what they want in wide receivers at the next level. Whether you're high school going to college, whether you're college going to the NFL. They want guys who could take this slant and then go take it 50 yards and go make an actual play. Break a tackle, yards after contact, yards after the catch. Those are the types of guys that you want on your team as a wide receiver coach, a head coach, a coordinator, whatever. He makes a smart play and then his athleticism takes over. That's the name of the wide receiver position. A lot of people think it's just running routes, finding open space. That's not what it is. There's an art to it. You have to be somewhat smart. You got to have a good head on your shoulders. Why do you think Edelman had so much success? He's 5 foot whatever. He's short, maybe not the fastest guy in the world. If you've ever seen him in person, you know he's not the biggest guy in the world. But why do you have so much success? He was an ex-quarterback. He knew exactly where Tom Brady wanted him to be on every single given play and where the openings were in the coverage. So Njigba knows this is an RPO, and this is a simple example. This is very, very simple. I think a receiver at any level of football can get this down. You just can't get so caught up in your job. You should never have to ask the quarterback what the play is. You should know the entire play, the timing of the play, and why the play works a certain way. Let's play this again, full speed one more time. Great job by Njigba tempoing this thing, using that crossover, and then getting up and making that great play after the catch. Yards after contact as well, stiff arm. That is a big time play. So there aren't a whole lot of clips of him running, routes downfield. A lot, and I think that's probably the biggest criticism with him. It's like, he's just an average wide receiver. Maybe he doesn't run the greatest routes in the world. He's got great hands. He makes people miss. And I think that's honestly maybe just the offense that he's in. I think that's just he's doing what they ask him to do. But this is a great example of him doing what a lot of NFL wide receivers do with their routes, and that's being able to sell vertical and drop on a dime. So let's play this example. He's going to be running kind of like a 12-yard stop route. He has inside shade off man coverage. And so let's play full speed. So he comes off the ball, selling vertical, drops on a dime. And then obviously makes that DB slip and fall. So let's talk about this, right? What so many NFL wide receivers are able to do. And where do the best route runners usually come from? They come from Alabama, right? And in Alabama, Nick Saban, there's an interview, and I talk about this a lot on this channel, is that they ask, what do you look for in receivers? And he says smoothness in and smoothness out of the break. AKA, can you get into your breaks fast and sell like you're going deep? And can you get out of the break with little to no wasted motion? That's what he wants out of his guys, right? And those guys are always the best route runners. Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy. Now, Njigba does the exact same thing. This is exactly what you would want out of any wide receiver on this route. He's got inside shade off man. If he's running this curl or a stop, what we want to do is we want to try to attack his outside shoulder and hip. My goal is to get him to open up the gate and flip to the fade. Make him think that we're just running a seam up the slot. So how we do that is we need to make sure that I'm doing 3 things. I have a good pad level position. So what I mean by pad level is that you need to stay. You see his how he has this slight forward lean with his body. You need to stay with that forward lean all the way until the break point. So he's got this nice forward lean. He does not raise up before he drops his hips into the break. That is called not having an indicator with your pad level. So many wide receivers, because they want to drop their hips and they want to try to change direction fast, right before the break point, what they will do is they will start to raise up their chest and lean back so they can snap down. But that is an indicator. Just like that last example, where's a DB supposed to be watching? He's supposed to be watching my hips. So I got to make sure I keep my hips at the same level and my body at the same level. So now, the other things that you have to do is you got to run hard. You have to be able to run hard, and you have to run in full stride. So many wide receivers will get all the way up to this break point and then start to chop their feet because they're preparing for the hip drop. Or what guys will do is they'll start to slow their speed down because they're preparing for the hip drop. You have to let the hips slow you down, and it needs to be a violent drop of your hips like so. You're sitting your butt down, you're sitting in a chair, and you're almost trying to bring your chin to your knee because that violent drop, that's the whole reason we drop violently, is so I could decelerate while running full speed. And that's what all great wide receivers are able to do. You look at Jerry Jeudy, who's got great routes, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson. All of those guys know how to self-fade. They're very smooth with their routes. They run in full stride, they have a good pad level, and they have good speed. And they're able to change direction while doing it. And that's all you can ask for in a route runner, is to be able to do that, and you see the results. He's able to get some separation. Could he have taken less steps at this break? I think so, maybe. Maybe he doesn't need to take 4. Maybe he could drop in 2 steps. But at the end of the day, he sold fade, he got the DB to open up, and he made the DB fall. That's what leads to separation, fellas. Smooth route running, and that's what he has, which is why I feel he is definitely an NFL-ready wide receiver. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Najigba, selling fade, getting that DB to flip his hips, and then winning on that route. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come out and train with us in 12 different states this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below. We're going all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles in these next 6 months. So I hope this video helped you guys out. I'll see you next time.